All right, welcome back. In a major boost to security efforts in Manipur, the Indian Army and Assam Rifles, working in close coordination with Manipur Police, CRPF, BSF and ITBP, carried out a series of well-planned joint operations that led to the arrest of 6 armed guarders and the recovery of a large quantity of weapons, grenades and ammunition. The operations were conducted across both hill and valley districts, including Imphal West, Kakching, Imphal East, Churachandpur and Bishnupur. And the Army and Manipur Police apprehended 2 cadres with a recovery of a pistol from Karpur Sangha of Imphal East District. On the same day, in Kakching District, Assam Rifles and Manipur Police apprehended 2 cadres and recovered 2 pistols, ammunition and warlike stores from the same district. 2 cadres were also recovered from Vaison of the same. And district is obviously the same. These efforts have marked together a chapter in the ongoing efforts to bring stability in Manipur. These latest operations reflect a determined and organized push by security forces to restore peace in Manipur, which has been witnessing waves of unrest and violence over the past year. Meanwhile, the first tripartite meeting between representatives of the Meitei and the Kuki communities took place in New Delhi, marking a significant step in efforts to ease ethnic tensions in Manipur. The peace initiative, facilitated by the Union Ministry of Home Affairs, aimed to bridge the widening rift between the communities amid months of unrest in the state. Let's talk about this with our guest. Joining us on the show is Major General Shashi Asthana, former Additional DG, Infantry Global and Defence Expert. Major Muhammad Ali Shah, Defence Expert, also joins us on the show. Mr. Tirthankar Kshetrimayum, Meitei Voice, is joining us on the show as well. Last but not the least, Mr. Vishwajit Singh, lawyer and legal advisor to Kuki Organization for Human Rights, is joining us on the program as well. General Asthana, I'll begin with you. Well, obviously, it's heartening to see that the impetus as well as the impact and the efficacy of these operations, which have come post the President's rule, have actually borne fruit in a manner like this. General Asthana.
Certainly, there is no doubt that with President rule, the security forces get more confidence to act and act impartially. Because minus President rule, what happens is irrespective of who does whatever wrong he does, or whichever militant you catch, if he is a Meitei, then he will say that you are biased. And if he is Kuki, he will say that the security forces are aligned to the political forces. Because there was a chief minister there who happened to be of one of the community which is in question. So the question is that President rule, certainly. Similarly, the extension of Armed Forces Special Power Act again gives a little more confidence and a legal cover to the security forces, and therefore security forces, their operations become more specific, more emphatic, and more result oriented. So that's one part of it. The second part is, as far as the problem is concerned. Yes, the problem has got many elements, and therefore many multi-pronged efforts are required, and that's why, as you rightly pointed out, the talks are also important, and the talks between the 2 communities is the most important thing which must happen. And I think a fair amount of facilitation is being done about it, although I am given to understand that Kokomi was not too happy about it, and perhaps they feel because what happens is that there are far too many organizations, and all organizations also look at it from their political relevance, their power structure, and their perhaps own relevance in that area from that perspective as well. And not all organizations which are involved are aligned with the same cause. There are different interests, there are different groups, and all the groups and interests, keeping everybody happy is also a difficult task. But the question is, we can create an environment. The security forces basically will create an environment, and thereafter the political process has to take care of, and everybody will have to perhaps accommodate and be more accommodative. And I can say, with my experience of being in Assam regiment throughout my life, see, in our battalions, Meiteis and Kukis, they die for each other. There has never been a case. We have even in war, in one section you have people of these 2 communities, and they lay down their life for each other. That's the situation. So as human beings, People of Manipur, my full salutes to them. We have the best of the human right capital in Northeast and in Manipur in particular. So the people are great. The question is that there are political interests. There are interests in the even in the extortion that the other guy has got a more share than me, or he's getting away with more extortion, and I'm not getting that kind of opportunity. So these problems are also there. But I think we are on the right lines. Uh, the security forces, irrespective of which community it is, if somebody is doing a wrong thing, then he must be taken to task. That is the resolve of the security forces. As far as talks are concerned, the politicians have to create a political environment where these two ethnic tribes can live peacefully and feel justified that their actions and their interests are being justifiably taken care by the government. Now, so long we can create these two conditions, I'm sure things are looking bright. And as you rightly mentioned, I think we are on the right path as far as resolution is concerned. Back to you.
Major Mohammad Ali Shah, uh, you know Manipur like the back of your hand. You've served there as well. What do these new updates make you feel? Are we headed in the right direction when it comes to the long time stability that Manipur and perhaps even you have always craved for?
Right, Vineet, that's a very, very good question, and I commend you for your understanding, particularly of Manipur and the North. Many journalists have this kind of understanding they keep. Now, Vineet, the fact is Manipur has always struggled with insurgency from a very, very long time. There have been underground groups over there. Now, adding more to that, when this ethnic violence broke out on 3rd of May 2023, thereafter, again, matters became worse. Thereafter, we couldn't recognize who was the village volunteer, who's armed, and who's underground. So there were cases where, as the CRPF camped 10 village volunteers, or so to say, it was a very, very tough thing that they were underground, or they were village volunteers, who they were. So they were shot by CRPF. Now, whether it was a judicial killing or not, no one knows. Now, the very fact is, when such a thing has happened, Manipur has always struggled with it. The armed forces, they had their hands tied behind their backs. Armed forces, I mean the entire security forces, be it Assam Rifles, be it BSF, be it Army, be it anyone, be it the police, be it anyone who's maintaining security over there. Now, recently conducted operations in Manipur, where there were 4 separate operations in Bishnupur and Kakshan districts. Now, I've spent a reasonable time in Kakshan district. In fact, I carry very fond memories of Kakshan Museum and near Palil and near Teknopal. The Sora Basti was there. It was very, very fine people. In fact, as General Asana rightly said earlier, the Kukis and the Meiteis were like brothers, very, very close to each other. There never was any rift between them. And so, I have had the honor of interviewing many Meitei friends of mine and many Kuki friends of mine, in fact. And they say that we don't know why we are fighting. Many of them don't even know the reason. I mean, people can say, oh, it's because of the SC/ST status, it's because of the court, it's because of Justice Muridharan, your ruling. Many of them, the common Meitei wants peace. A common Kuki wants peace. Now, when things have gone very far, and now again, when they are operationed by security forces, there's a journalist friend of mine who's right now on ground, right now present in Manipur right now. In fact, I have been in touch with her, and she told me that, now the concept of village volunteers, they have moved it out now. It is not anymore, and anyone found with a weapon is treated like an underground. That's what she told me. Now in the search operation, the recently conducted search operation, the Heingram Tera Pishak area, or the Heingram Mai Leke area in Kakshan, they were operations conducted there. The security forces, they arrested another active cadre of KCP, PWT from Moirang. Now that road again is a little. It used to be it was infested at one time by a lot of underground. We did not know. Who with an underground without a weapon, irrespective of whichever community he is from, whichever race he's from, he's a civilian. So it's very difficult to recognize. And even if you would know that so and so is from an underground faction, if he appears before you without a weapon, you cannot do anything. You can't do anything about it. So now, when the governor, Mr. Bhalla, he said, okay, there would be surrender of arms and anyone should surrender straight away. There was a lot of weapons. There were a lot of weapons, but most of them were from the valley. In fact, they are from Hill district. They were very less people who came forward with looting weapons. Now, is it that because they did not have illegal arms? I don't believe that. I think both the communities had illegal arms. But again, one point to be noted was the surrendered weapons were all minor weapons like .22 or 12 rifle or shotgun, something which not automatics like 9mm pistol or a 9mm carbine or an AK-47 or 9mm insas. The 5.56mm insas rifle. They were not many. We saw very few weapons being surrendered there. Now, are we on the right track? Coming on your question, yes, we are currently on the right track, but it takes time. Now, there were peace talks which did not really culminate into anything much. First and foremost prime thing, General Asthana is right here. He's from the Assam regiment. He has lived his entire life with people from the northeast part of India, with Nagas, with Kuki-Meiteis, and the very fact is, why cannot the government form a team of interlocutors and get people on the table such as who have great understanding, who are very neutral, who are from neither community, like General Asthana, one perfect example. I would say, and they have been former GOC 3 corps, they have been former DG Assam Rifles, General Pradeep Nair. I mean, there is General Sangwan, there is whole lot of chairman ceasefire monitoring group. They are former DGPs, former chief secretaries, former governors. If the government wants, they can form a team of these people who understand Manipur, who have served there, who have an experience, and they have an influence with both the communities. In fact, see, I'll give you a small, and I'll quickly conclude. See, I understand the fact that in my domain, I would not like someone from outside coming in and telling me what to do, what not to do in my domain. It's there, it's but natural everywhere. But when peace has to be brought in at any cost,
Okay.
have to get people who are neutral, who are acceptable to both the communities.
Right. Tirthankar, important ground realities exuded there by General Asthana as well as Muhammad Ali Shah. What would you like to add to that?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think I agree with both Major Muhammad Ali Shah and General Shashi. I think PR coming into effect was a good thing. Actually, now the central forces have more control over the operations, how things can be done. I think the first thing is to make sure that the weapons are taken away from the general public, which will create the necessary environment for peaceful negotiations. Which will lead. It is going to be a long process because of the misunderstandings that have happened over the past 2 years, right? What we have to keep in mind is that whatever is happening should be taken into consideration with all the communities in the state and taking them together, right? Before all that happens, the concern for us again is if you look at the larger geopolitics at play in this region, right? There are foreign influences at hand here. Certain 2-3 countries which are operating and which is making India unstable in certain parts is a good thing for them. So we need to make sure that a professional border security force is established because it's a long border that we share with be it Bangladesh or be it with Burma. And the second thing is to have a proper border fencing. These two need to be looked into properly, apart from the negotiations and a peaceful understanding of how this problem can be solved, right? We need to make sure that internally we are strong, and as much as possible, the external forces are restricted. Their movement is restricted, their funding is restricted, and our larger intelligence agencies have a hawkeye view on the different types of public agenda and focus that is happening across the borders, right? So I think there are 2-3. One is the internal aspect that we need to look in as a country, what we need to do to solve the issue at Manipur, and there's always an external factor which should keep trying to destabilize the internal factor, right? So it's a long process. I think the time will take it'll take time to come to a peaceful resolution, but I think it's a start in the right direction. with the PR coming in, there'll be more stability, and once the grounds are made for a proper election or proper understanding for a peace deal, then we can move forward with the next required steps.
All right, Mr. Vishwajit Singh, your thoughts and your response to what you have heard from the other panelists, and let's also keep in mind that this is a conflict which has raged on unnecessarily for quite some time now. Are you happy that the way in which things are moving about could bring about the respite that has been craved by both the communities as well as the onlookers?
Yes, it's the wrong word to say that I'll be happy about whatever is happening. Whatever has happened in the last almost 2 years is, you know, does not make anybody happy. And now the measures being taken by security forces are are most welcome. And I have been maintaining this right from the beginning that people on both sides should be disarmed. The civilians on both sides should be disarmed first, which the government took very lightly. And in fact, the weapons which were looted, as Major Ali had also pointed out, the weapons which were looted from state armories were sophisticated automatic weapons. And what has been returned or surrendered are country-made single barrel guns and country-made guns, and crude weapons have been surrendered. So those weapons are still floating around with the private militia or with the UNLF militant group, which have been very very active in the Imphal Valley in the last 2 years, and UNLF cadres were sort of some surrender was engineered, and then they were found roaming about in patrolling the streets of Imphal, and right under the nose of the government, uh, uh, this thing, an illegal sort of gathering was held at the Kangla Fort on 24th January 2024. And people, the legislators and MPs and even a union minister at that time were forced to attend that meeting and sign some sort of declaration, etc. So these things are yet to be investigated, first of all. And justice, whatever measures are being taken right now, apprehension of cadres by security forces is most welcome. It should be done. It should be done more rapidly. Second, justice has to play a big role in the peace process, because unless people don't see justice happening, it is very difficult to trust the government or any government initiative for that matter. And justice means that identify the perpetrators, find out the roles of politicians and leaders in perpetration of whatever has happened, and whether they were active participants of the conspiracy. Because my understanding is that such a violence on such a scale cannot be organized spontaneously. It was engineered and orchestrated. So people who are behind it should be identified and should be brought to justice. And without justice, any semblance of peace will be very, very fragile.
All right, Journalist Thana, concluding thoughts from you, sir, and then we wrap up.
Certainly, I totally agree with all the panelists. The other angles where we need to work on is, firstly, when, as was mentioned very rightly, justice is important, and therefore we need to have some fast track courts and fast track justice for all the cases, and all the cases must be investigated, as was rightly pointed out. Similarly, when we look at the social part of it, there are many who have been displaced, so they need to be rehabilitated. I am happy to see that 217 crores have been reallocated for the people who have been displaced. So the social schemes also have to work along with all other measures which have been pointed out very appropriately. The external hand is very important. There is external hand. There are social media campaigns, and as I have been mentioning, and in one of the interviews to Dainik Bhaskar also I mentioned that the presently creating an unrest in a target country has become an instrument of war, and we happen to be target countries for some of the inimical powers. And in that context, there were fair amount of social media messages which were wrong, fake messages, which were also floated in Manipur case as well. So this needs to be checked, and this is again instrument of war where we have to fight it out. Similarly, when we look at a whole lot of other discussions, reconciliation groups should be encouraged, and people and the voices, credible voices, which also one of the panelists was trying to work out, was talk about. Credible voices are important because as of now, what happens is the credibility is at stake because we have been trying without chief minister's resignation, we have been trying to fix the problem for very long. So with the result, what was happening was that if you have somebody from a particular community, the other side is not comfortable with it for very simple reason because they feel that everything is biased. Conversely, there is a problem with when we, as I mentioned, the neutrality gets affected. So apparently, I think this is a right step. A lot of steps have to be taken, and we have to perhaps fix the problem in a number of domains. And I'm sure all will get addressed, as was rightly mentioned. Back to you.
Mohammad Ali Shah, any concluding thoughts before we wrap up?
Right, I have been constantly saying that the government should show seriousness. They have been serious. I'm not deny that, but that showing of seriousness, just showing of concern, to reach to the down level. I mean, otherwise people from Manipur would say, "What the hell? We are being neglected upon." I'm sure they would not be neglected. I'm sure they would be everyone's concern. Everyone loves them like anything. For all the communities equally. So they should be more expressive. When you love someone, show it, as I say. So they should be more expressive. In terms of, and I've been shouting my lungs out, saying it, the need of the hour is no more talks. Peace committee. They formed a 51-member peace committee. Why not interlocutors? I doubt if you could ask Ritankar Singh over here if he would know who the interlocutor is. I have a doubt if he would be knowing because I don't know. And I've been so deeply invested into what's happening in Manipur. I don't know. I don't know if General Sana also would be knowing, if Viswajit would be knowing, if you would be knowing. I mean, we don't know who the interlocutors are. It's very important to know who the interlocutors are, if at all, and they have to be in communication straight away with you.
All right, on that note, we are going to dip into a short break. Appreciate everybody who joined us and weighed in on this important matter. We'll be right back.